What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Everybody is sending me this article and sending me videos with regard to Ebony K. Williams being pregnant with her first baby girl. And let me preface this by saying that once you start to introduce children into the conversation, regardless of whether you're a content creator or not, and I know that this is full game because she decided to go and do the cover photo, and so once you start to insert yourself into the conversation, then I think it's fair for us to be able to react to it and criticize it or support it or whatever it is that you wind up doing. But I do want to say that I never, ever, ever, and this is just one of my rules in particular, I never wish harm on, even if you holding somebody else accountable, I never wish harm on, and I always want the best for children because they innocent, right? And this is one of the reasons why we hold women accountable to the extent that we are now is because we realize the damage that's being done inside of Western society, culture, the community, the black community in general. And then also on top of that, when we don't hold people accountable for their actions, and they're a public figure, because that does not absolve you from responsibility of taking accountability of what it is that you're doing. You're promoting bad behavior. You're a voice. You think that you're intelligent, but yet you don't make intelligent decisions. So let me just say that this has nothing to do with the child, and I hope that it's a healthy baby. I hope that she has a successful pregnancy, because at the end of the day, I am still a Christian, and children, again, in this instance, is innocent. But it doesn't mean that men should put themselves or throw themselves under the bus as a result of it. But without further ado, she did this People magazine cover, and she gave an exclusive to People magazine that basically was just talking about how she's having her first baby girl. This is her picture, and oh, it looks so sweet, nice and photoshopped, and all of that stuff. But it goes on to say that Ebony K. Williams is getting ready for a new reality. People can exclusively reveal that the Real Housewives of New York City alumni and Equal Justice with the Judge Ebony K. Williams, star 40, is pregnant with her first baby, a girl, due on August 16th. Now, what is this telling women, right? What is this saying to the ladies? In short, what she's been leading up to and hinting all the way up until this point was that this was going to be a reality for her all along. I seen her the last time that I actually seen her do an interview was on Stephen A. Smith's show, in which he was over there simping, and you know how Stephen because Stephen A. Smith, he when he get into simp mode, it's something to behold. But we seen Stephen A. Smith simping for her, and they were talking about relationships and her viral moments or whatever. And ever since she was on Ayanna Van Zant, because I didn't even know who she was prior to Ayanna Van Zant, but ever since she did that interview with the Griot with Ayanna Van Zant, she's just unable to stay out of the news in a negative way, and she keep on jumping on all of these different platforms with Melissa Ford and things like that, and having conversations about what black men don't qualify for and whether or not black women are too good for some of the men that they choose in a date, and whether or not their standards are too high. Now, I also know that the Griot fired her and Mark Lamont and all of them. So I'm sure she's doing just fine financially with how value she is. So it says that the happy news comes 2 years after Williams revealed she was using her frozen eggs to pursue motherhood via sperm donation and in vitro fertilization. It says anybody who's gone through IVF or attempted IVF will tell you so many things have to go right for the final result of this journey to be a baby. Williams says that's why I've called this my remarkable miracle, because it really does feel like I've been the recipient of some very enormous favor. Uh, some very enormous favor. I mean, it's silly. It's silly to think about. It's silly to have a conversation about, because we've been holding women accountable and we know the result of a single parent household. Yet, this woman who professes herself to be one of the most educated, intelligent, high value, can quote off a bunch of statistics, but can't figure out for the life of her First of all, can't get an actual man to be the father of her child, have to do it via sperm donor. Was talking to, and it's funny how she always have conversations about black men when she was, admittedly and openly in a relationship with a white man, which I'm not even tripping off that because I think that people should marry and rock out with whoever it is that they rock with. But it's funny and so hypocritical. And this is one of the reasons why I always hold these blackity blacks accountable is because I always be looking at them like, where's the results? You know what I'm saying? Like y'all always have a black woman, this and like, okay, then marry one and don't have a bunch of children out of wedlock or whatever. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's having children out of wedlock, and she's doing a thing that we know is not ideal for the community. And instead of her actually leaning into her intelligence in in the data and the statistics in order to determine that this is not the best environment to raise a child in, even if you have resources, it's not the best environment to raise a child in because you need a man in a household, even if it's a daughter, in order for them to get the lessons and for them to less likely be uh overly aggressive or something. I'm not even gonna go through all of this stuff because again, I don't like to wish that on children, especially on unborn children. But my point is that with how intelligent all of these women say that they are, and then they always want to put it on God in order to justify it, I'm sure that there's a ton of women out here that's like, oh, congratulations or whatever. Says Williams also says that she's nicknamed her daughter one of one, a moniker that doesn't just signify how special the baby to be is to her, but also represents the luck she had to make her dreams of getting pregnant into a reality, which basically helps you to understand that women in their nature, two things, women in their nature always comes back to the reality. You can bring me that. Always comes back to the reality of who they are, no matter how much money they make, no matter how successful they become. It always comes back to the core principles of women are made to be mothers and they are nurturers and they seek out, the nature of who they are, even if they're not able to get it as pretty as they say that they are, as successful and high value that they are. They would rather have a child through a sperm donor, an IVF, than actually do it the original way. And then we still not even talking about the idea of marrying before you carry, but so desperate to have a child, know that the clock is ticking, and willing to risk it all just to have a child, which basically tells you that we need to stop advocating for this equal stuff and stop having these conversations based off of the idea that women are the same as men and putting the same standards on men and women equally across the board because it's never going to be equal. The nature of who we are ultimately always carries through. And we have to stop having this conversation based off of equal and start having it based off of purpose. Okay. It says I did one egg retrieval at 34 years old, not really having a clear intention on if I would use those eggs or when I would use these eggs. And 6 years later, so she's 40, that one egg retrieval led to one genetically normal embryo, which led to one successful embryo transfer, and one pregnancy later, I'll soon have, God willing, one beautifully healthy baby girl. So it really does feel like fate. So the chances of this happening and for it to play out the way that it played out was slim to none. And she already knew at 34 years old, over 6 years ago, which is one of the reasons why she's so fervent in these conversations, that it would be a possibility that she would still be by herself. So Kevin Samuels was right. She's still hitting the wall. Um, I'm not going to go down to that because you know how women be having those pictures where they be like practically naked and they cover up their coochie and then they cover up their titties and they say that this is a pregnancy photo just because they got a child in their belly. We don't want to see that, fam. But ultimately, again, Kev was right. Kev continues to be right. And Ebony K. Williams is now going to have a child out of wedlock, which I'm not sure that that's really conducive or the right example to set for the people that allegedly follow her. I'm curious as to what y'all thoughts are. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We got Stock Club coming up on Monday. And the Patreon meetup is coming up soon, very, very soon. More details to come on that. And then tap into after hours. We're going to talk about this a little bit more extensively with the crew, including Mika, probably Quentin, Slimmy, and all of them, right? So I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.